If you've played Outriders, which I assume you have if you're watching this video, then let's be real here. You know what the Anomaly is, the storm-like energy that devastates both landscape and people alike, while occasionally creating what we have come to call the Altered. But what actually is the Anomaly? Is it a force of nature, or is there more to it? In this video, I will do my very best to explain the nature of the Anomaly, where it came from, how it works, and potentially how we can prevent it from harming anyone else ever again. Alright, with that being said, let us begin. The Anomaly has had a very turbulent presence on Enoch for as far back into history as we can find. If you've watched my video discussing the history of the Pax, the natives of Enoch, then you will remember that at one time their people was driven to the brink of extinction and underground by the Anomaly. That was hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years ago, and now the Anomaly is upon humanity, angrier and hungrier than ever. To begin with, where did the Anomaly come from? That question has two potential answers, and you get to choose which one you want. The first is rather simple, being where it is now, the sky. The Anomaly rages as a storm in the sky, and this is very much the natural behavior of the Anomaly. This is how it will act if allowed. The second possible origin for the Anomaly is deep within Enoch, possibly even the core of the world itself. The Anomaly is recorded to have entered and exited the depths of Enoch via a series of tunnels. The Grand Obelisk is the location of one such tunnel. Either the Anomaly's home is in the sky, and it can move to the core of Enoch or be moved, or it's the other way around. Regardless, the planet of Enoch is where the storm resides, and at this time it is unknown if anything can be done to change that. Next, let's talk about the effects of the Anomaly, starting with the stages involved when an Anomaly storm rolls into an area. There are a total of 3 phases from inert to active. The destructive power of the Anomaly is increased with each phase. As the storm grows closer to a region, the inert phase begins. In this phase, the Anomaly will be relatively harmless to the surrounding environment and people, but it will still affect it nonetheless. Electronics will begin to malfunction, and strange auras will be visible in the atmosphere. Next is the awakening phase. Plants and creatures of all kinds will begin to be mutated, the effects of these mutations being long-term. For the most part, the mutations are negative. Peaceful creatures will be driven mad, and green pastures will rot and wither away. At the same time, the EMP effect will have grown stronger by this stage, rendering the strongest of electronics useless. Finally, there is the active phase. This is when the storm arrives. From the atmosphere, the Anomaly energy will manifest as ionized gas beams, similar to what a solar flare would look like. Although these beams of light may to some seem beautiful, any form of contact will result in deletion. Pretty much, yeah. Or mutation. The survival of this contact is what creates the altered human beings and the Perfero, like, the monsters that we kill for loot. Yeah. It is during this phase that the destruction of the landscape is the worst, and after this phase the Anomaly will return to its inert phase and then eventually just phase out of the area, until it hits another place. I have already discussed the psychological transformation that the Altered go through, so I will be very brief in my explanation. At first, the person will be mentally the same, just with superpowers. But as time goes on, the negative and more aggressive aspects of their personality will be strengthened, with others being diminished. The end result of this is usually a completely different person, and a far more aggressive person at that. And you will find that a lot of Altereds are loners, due to their friends and families just no longer recognizing them. But let's be honest, most of the people in this game don't have families anymore, so this is probably a common occurrence. Something I find interesting is actually how similar this change is to the animals. In many regards, I would say that the Altered are just the human version of the Perfero or the other beasts in how aggressive they are when compared to their non-Altered variants. Speaking of the Perfero, I'm not going to talk about the altered wildlife of Enoch too much in this video, and that's because due to requests from you, the community, I will be making a video solely about them. One species, however, that I will lightly touch on though, are the storm carriers. This is the only species that I've seen that doesn't try to kill people on sight. That being said, they do wield very destructive capabilities, being respected and even feared by the Altered. It is very clear that they, like all creatures, are linked to the Anomaly, but what is not as clear is their exact relationship with it. Does the storm follow behind them like a sheep to a shepherd, or are they forever running away from it, with it always being one step behind them? Regardless of what the truth of this relationship is, the humans of Enoch have come to treat these great creatures with reverence and wariness, and many do look at the storm carriers, their presence, as a foreboding sign of a possible storm to come. Here's a question for you, and I'd like to get your answers actually. Do you think that the anomaly is just a part of nature, or do you think it's sentient? It has a will of its own, it's thinking, it's doing all that kind of shenanigans? Personally, from what I've seen, I personally believe that it is just a natural occurrence. It has a very repetitive behavior, and it does behave just like a hurricane or any other force of nature. But the one thing that hampers that belief is Chana's visions. Now, for the most part, the altered abilities are pure destruction, based off the destructive properties of the anomaly. But Chana, for some reason, is altered, and she can see the future? Now, I don't know about some of you, okay, maybe it's just me, but I can't see the future. I don't know. I like to say I'm built different, but maybe I'm not built different, I'm just built wrong. I don't know. But I don't think there are a lot of others out there that can see the future, so I'm going to take this personal experience, okay, to see this ability to see the future as being 100% from the anomaly. But why? Why alter Chana in a completely different way than the rest of the Altered? Was it a fluke, or was she specifically chosen? Furthermore, is it a stretch to wonder if, as a result of this, the anomaly knows the future? I mean, think about it. If this thing is actually sentient, and it's given someone the ability to see the future, then, I mean, obviously, it's able to see the future as well. If it's sentient. So, what do you think? I'll leave that in your hands, because I honestly don't have any idea. This is just a cheeky discussion. I think this overall question about the true nature of the anomaly is one I would like to see fleshed out more in the DLC, and I am very confident that the guys at the narrative team are having a blast watching us trying to figure stuff out while they quietly get what's to come ready. Finally, I want to talk about how we might be able to deal with this thing, because, come on. No one likes the anomaly, and no one wants to allow it just to keep wrecking the place. At the moment, as far as I am aware, there is only one way for us to live without the anomaly. The main reason why this is the only way is because we simply don't have the technology to study the anomaly properly. Now, could someone on the Flores do that for us? Maybe, but as of writing this, I just don't know for certain. So what is the one option we have? I have mentioned this in a few of my videos, my PAX video, my Monroy video, and my Secret Race video, and that is the ritual used in conjunction with the obelisks. This, right here, this is an example of an obelisk. It's a big boy building. Now this, and the others like it, were either created by the ancient Pax or some other race, and when used correctly, can somehow channel the anomaly, and drain the sky of its storm, sending all the energy into one of those tunnels I mentioned before, and either storing them or sending it back deep within Enoch. Now there are two issues with this. We don't know how to use the obelisks. Most of the packs we might be to blame for this are dead or feral, and honestly, even if there were some, I don't think they would want to help the people that barbecued them. And I don't blame them. So unless one of them helps us, or we somehow figure it out ourselves, we have a massive obstacle in the way of us learning how to use these things. The second issue will be as big as you honestly want it to be, really. From the records I've seen, even when the packs were chilling and doing their thing, the Anomaly would still come back and kill a bunch of life before they were able to run back to the obelisks and contain it again. What I'm trying to say is that even if we were to use the obelisks to contain the storm, it would at best be a temporary solution. We'd have to keep doing it over and over and over again. For some of you, my beloved viewers, that might be okay. You might be completely fine with that if you were in that situation where you could decide what plan to go with. For me, I think I'd be okay with it, but I'd always be looking for a more permanent solution. I don't know. I wouldn't like to have to get up at 3 a.m. because the storm decided to come back at a pretty cheeky hour. Again, the hard part is the lack of science involved in our studies. We need technology. But the storms have fried everything on the planet and we have no real way of getting to the floors. Remember, the craft that we actually came down from the floors to Enoch on, that was a one-way trip apparently. So, is there even, vehicles we can use to get back up? I don't know. So when it comes to dealing with the Anomaly, we're in a bit of a pickle. And that's really it. Is there anything that I left out that you'd like to know more about? Again, we don't have all the answers available to us in game, but maybe there's a specific question you have. If you do have a question, leave it in the comments, and you know me, I try to answer the comments as best as I can. Or, this is coming out on a Saturday, I'm hoping. I'm also going to be streaming on Saturday, so you can talk to me directly there. And that's that. With that being said, I hope this was helpful, I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking with you guys again at the next time. Take care, my friends. Take care.